What's up everybody, it's your boy Icy out here with a little tutorial for y'all. This is going to be breaking down one of my loops going in the second Drake kit for the team. The sample I'm going over is real ambient R&B, like really soft, melodic, tons of different elements to it. Let's get right into it. I'm going to show y'all a quick preview of the loop. Alright, so I'm gonna break down the parts to it here. I gotta load up the FLP. Also, I do apologize for y'all that I look like a Hulk today. I don't know. I got my second dose of the COVID vaccine and it just turned like my whole world green. So, alright y'all, I'm gonna whip out this FLP for y'all real quick. So I'm just gonna start with this this sound here. This is what kind of started off everything. It's just a few chords on some little synth key I found in a loophole pack on Analog Lab. Unfortunately, since my CPU is horrible, I can't play that out of Analog Lab, but what I will show you guys is what it sounds like after I did that and I pitched it down. It's very basic and it's just a few basic chords that do their own little thing. So what I put on this was good hertz wow control for a little detune effects, the Valhalla, the concert wave preset, and then this thing called Crystal Choir out of Effect Track, Euro guitar and then Crystal Choir, and it acts like there's kind of a pad in the background, so this is what that sounds like. So really ambient stuff. And then I grabbed these vocals from Arcade. I exported them and kind of turned them into one-shots. I'll show you what they sound like raw, if you know what I mean. And I throw these effects on. This is something that I do on like stuff to make it sound like, oh, Travis Scott, Mike Dean-ish. I take a fruit delay too and I turn the delay time all the way down and then mess with the cut, and that by itself sounds like this. You can hear how it kind of sounds like a stutter effect almost. And then what I did, I took a reverb. This is the DH Small Vocal Hall preset. And then I had another one that I used just to make it drown it kind of out. And then a EQ that just boosted some highs, cut a lot of lows. And this is what it sounds like after all that. A lot of that stuff is barely noticeable, but it's really noticeable to me. And then I took out the second part for the 9 to 17 bars. And yeah, after that I added this sub bass. It's my go-to sub bass that I'll probably never release in a pack ever. Sorry y'all. Yeah, so all I used on it was a little compressor and then an EQ that just basically turned it up. Took out some mud, and then this is what it sounds like. It's honestly not too noticeable. It's just there, it kind of complements these things, so I'm gonna show you guys what this all sounds like together. By that point, the foundation was already pretty much there. I just added a few more things, which started with this little effect, is all that is. I also routed it to this track, which basically has the same delay and reverb and stuff like that. It's the same track as these. And then this effect, on this one, I put the same type of delay, but a little less cut and a little more volume. I put a stereo enhancer. I put just a big wide reverb, and then a little low pass, and this is what that sounds like. I'm not sure where I got that effect, but it's quite nice. And then I kind of just repeated these throughout, trying not to overcomplicate them. And then after that, I did something that kind of just spiced the sample up a lot. So this is the first texture I used, and in this first 9 bars, it's just how it normally is. I'll show you the effects I used on that, which was just an EQ and then an effect track for basic vintage punch. And then this is what that sounds like. And then on this 9 to 17 bars, I took that same thing, routed over here, and then I made it unique, and then I reversed the sample. And then I routed it to a different mixer track. And in this way, I used a transient processor so that all the sharp reverses didn't, cut too hard into the mix. Nice little reverb, and just a kind of telephone effect. And this is what that sounded like. It's honestly not too noticeable that it's reversed. It comes more in effect with these, but the big reason I did that is because it made it like extend the sample, because this was only a 9-bar sample, so I kind of was able to extend it without making it too repetitive. This is it's the same type of texture, but it's not same sample, obviously. On this, it's more of a Tokyo-based sample. I forgot the one-shot kit I got it from. I routed it to a different track, and all I did was add this delay, which is the same type of delay I added on the sound effects earlier, the Travis Scott type delay, and then a little EQ, and this is what that sounded like. And then I did the same thing I did here. I took that, made it unique, reversed it. But this is where it kind of gets interesting. I wanted this one to actually kind of peek through the mix. I used a transient processor and the same type of delay, but I left the cut and the volume kind of up. I wanted this to, like, if you're playing it on loudspeakers or can actually hear it, if you pay attention, you can really like hear how in the whole sample, like this part starts to sound kind of trippy a little bit, and this is what it sounds like. Obviously that sounds like really weird, but that's kind of the point. And then I took this and brought it over here. So I'll show you what this sounds like. I'll show you these parts where it sounds like at the beginning, and then the second part of that. You can kind of hear how that last part sounds like pretty trippy and kind of just confuses the ears a little bit. And then basically this is just the same part repeated over here, and then this little part is just kind of an outro to the sample. Which is just that first part. In these bars, I took this sample, copied it over, and then I turned the pitch all the way down and I routed it to a new track. And on this track, I used just a big old low pass, brought up the highs a ton, And I did that because it sounded way too muddy otherwise. And then I added crystal choir and another EQ that took out some of the sharpness. And that's what that sounded like. And that whole thing kind of just gives it a different vibe. Then the last thing I did on this part, I added an effect rack to this. And the reason I did it, I put an automation clip so it could sound different in each part. It starts off like a really big pad, and then it kind of calms down in the second part, and the same thing happens again in this. It kind of just makes all the parts sound a little different. And then I have actually this part where I finished up the sample. And in this, all it is that exported file, and this is what I did to it. I just put an EQ. The lows can get really, really muddy in a sample like this that's all like downsampled and stuff. So I brought up a few of the highs, cut the really, really lows, and then just raise that a little bit while cutting out the muddiness. And then after that, I added a wow control, which is kind of just like a detuning plugin. I used the 78 RPM vinyl preset, put it at 15, and I turned off the noise. And I just did that because it just sounded a little better with a little more detune on it. So this is what that sounds like. I also pitched it up 2 semitones, by the way, if you didn't hear it. And then what I did, I used this layer as like a texture layer. There's this one thing by my boy Cadet. This is what it's called Drown by Cadet, at Prod by Cadet on Instagram. Go follow him. He's goated, his samples are goated, and he has some great one-shot kits. But this is a little thing he made. It's called Drowned, and whenever you drag it in, I'll show you what it is. So on the second track, this is the basically plugin, and I have the mix all the way up, so you can see when I turn the mix all the way down, this is what it sounds like. And when I turn it all the way up, this is what it sounds like. It makes it sound almost like you're in a nightclub or something, or like you're outside of a club. So I just love that so much. Shout out to him. I pitched it up by 12 semitones, and here's the other things I added. I added a little EQ, some Valhalla to, just make it a little more spacious, a stereo shaper to kind of keep it away from the main mix, and then the same type of delay I was adding to the other things, the shortest delay time, but I brought the cut down a lot, and that is pretty much it. I just stemmed it out after that. Thank y'all so much for watching. Go check out Loopside, follow all the socials in the description. I'll see you guys later. Peace.